Welcome to Dr. Brumfield's Elite Athletics. I am Dr. Brumfield. Cool topic. One of my athletes had mentioned the fact that every time that they did the bench press in the gym, they experienced some pain. And so what I thought I would do today is kind of go over why he experiences pain that very well you may be experiencing as well. So we're going to go over number one, the bench press technique, how to stretch the pec major, because when you're doing the bench press, the pec major is the muscle that you're ultimately working. And yes, you have some of the tricep, long head and short head of the tricep as well, but predominantly the bench press is for the pec major. And the pec are, let me back up a little bit, are the chest muscles here, right? And so that's the muscle that kind of give you that yoke and that buff look. And so that's what we want to talk about. So first and foremost, let's do a little anatomy in terms of the reason some people experience shoulder pain as a result of. And so let's talk about the reason why some people are experiencing. Hello, welcome to Dr. Brumfield's Elite Athletics. I am Dr. Brumfield. If you're new to the channel, we would like to say welcome. If you are returning, thank you for the support. Don't forget to push the subscribe button or the little bell for notifications for every time that we submit a new or we upload a new video. And so what we're talking about is, why are some people experiencing shoulder problems when they're doing the bench press? Okay, when you're doing the bench press, obviously that is for the pec major. That's those two muscles here that give you that kind of buff and that buff look, as well as a little bit of the tricep muscles here, as you see my healthy little joint here. So we're going to talk about some of the reasons why people experience shoulder problems. So first and foremost, let's kind of look at the anatomy. This actually is my right shoulder, if you will. So one of the biggest culprits that we're dealing with when we're talking about, so this is your shoulder, right? This is your arm, here's your clavicle, and this is your scapula. So it makes up a whole girdle. But what we're looking for is this culprit right here. If you can see it, it's called the biceps tendon. And if you see, there's two little grooves, right, if you will. Let me get my big fingers out the way. There's a groove here and there's a groove there, and you see that tendon runs directly down. That is a culprit that gives a lot of pain. The other one is this joint here, and I'm going to get a little closer to the camera. Hopefully you can see it. So you see that you have the humerus here, which is this bone, right? So as I move my shoulder, I'm moving the humerus, as well as on the scapula you have a cavity, which is called a glenoid cavity. And so what happens is the humerus and the glenoid cavity makes what we call a glenohumeral joint. And that's why you see that little space in between there when you see me moving or abducting away, right? And so what happens also sometimes, this bone here, it has, I'm going to put everything down. This bone here has a round projection. So this is my humeral head, this is my glenoid cavity, and it fits like a ball and socket, right? And so this joint head can, like if I raise my arm, this is what the movement is, right? If I bring my arm forward and backwards. So sometimes what happens is you can have what's called a glenohumeral subluxation, which means the humeral bone is out of place. Now, if you notice, it doesn't take a lot for this rotation and movement of the humeral head for that joint. Let's say, for instance, I'm holding, you know what? I got something here. Let's say I'm holding 5 pounds, right? And as I hold this 5 pound, let's just say I have my arm in a position that's not conducive to the joint, and I just drop it really quick, boom. So what happens is, sometimes the humeral head does not, let me back up a little bit. Sometimes the humeral head does not sit properly in that glenoid cavity. And so one of the things that you can do is merely just pinch this area here. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your clavicle, that's the highest point. slide down till it drops, and then go straight down, right? Or right where the crease is in your shoulder if you're doing this without a shirt on. And so you should be able to feel where the 2 points meet, and just press in slightly, and that'll tell you pretty much if there's some tendon down. Now, the other thing is impingement. And so one of the tests that we do here clinically is the Abbot Saunders test. And let me pull my shirt down a little bit so I can be a little bit more presentable. How's that? All right, so this is a simple test that you can do on your own as well. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna abduct to help you, abduct your arm, okay? So I'm gonna stand up a little bit. So I'm gonna abduct my arm, I'm gonna turn my palm out, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna extend it more, and I'm gonna place my arm pretty much right where I showed you. Let me slide down. And as I bring my arm down slowly, I'm trying to feel, as you bring it down, I'm looking for a pop and or it's like cracking and popping in that joint. So arm up, palm up, and then just bring it down, and you're looking to see if you feel a pinch. So arm up, palm up, hand up, and bring it down. And you're looking to see if you feel a pop or a click in that joint. If there's a pop or click in that joint, that also goes back to, it could be a dislocation, which is a gross separation of that that glenohumeral joint or GH joint that we just talked about, or it could be a subluxation, which means the bone is out of place. And the subluxation is much less severe than a dislocation, okay? So subluxation. The other thing is, we want to know, pause. The next test that we're going to look at is the Dugas test. And so basically we're going to assume that I'm having problems with this left shoulder, and we want to see, or I want to see, or you want to see if there is a dislocation. So basically you take the affected arm and place it on the opposite chest. And then what you want to do is you want to bring your elbow down and touch your chest. If you cannot bring the elbow to the chest because there's too much pain that you're going to experience over here in this joint, then that's a positive sign as well for a shoulder dislocation. Another cause of pain while doing the bench press, shoulder pain and chest pain while doing the bench press, is lack of flexibility. One, either you fail to stretch before you started, you fail to warm up, and you're in a habit of not stretching once you're done. So I'm going to show you a quick Pec Major Stretch that would help to loosen up that muscle and warm that muscle up prior to actually doing the bench press. So here's my makeshift wall. I'm going to have my hand flat on the wall, and then I'm going to turn my body, leaving my hand still, turning my body away slightly, which is going to slowly press and stretch the Pec Major. Believe it or not, just by doing that, I've already felt the stretch. So here, so I'm going to slide back a little bit, stop, and turn away. Okay? So again, to stretch the pec, stop, and turn away. So that will help you to loosen up those muscles, that Pec Major muscle. And then the last test that we're going to look at is the speeds test. And this test also rules in and rules out the presence of bicipital tendonitis. Okay, and so with that, you're going to raise the affected hand, arm up, thumb up. And as I'm raising my arm, I'm going to be pushing down with the other hand, right? So as I'm raising, now I'm going to prevent that arm from being raised. And so a positive test would be actually pain up on that pressure being applied in the glenohumeral joint or bicipital groove where the tendon runs. And so a positive test will be pain in the bicipital groove where the tendon runs through. And so again, what we're doing is we're stopping this motion. And so as we stop this motion by pressing down, it's going to give us pain if this in the bicipital groove, in the bicep. So the motion that we're doing is we're trying to resist this motion here. And so in this area here, which is the bicipital groove where the tendon runs through, if there's pain there, then we know that there's a presence of bicipital tendonitis, which means that tendon is inflamed. So arm up, thumb up, So we know that there's a presence of bicipital tendonitis. So lastly, we're going to go arm up, thumb up. And now as I'm coming up, I'm going to be pushing and trying to resist that arm from coming through. We want to now look at the actual mechanisms. We want to now look at the mechanisms of the bench press, because what happens is a lot of times your bench press technique or lack thereof could actually be the cause of your shoulder problems, because a faulty technique gives you a faulty product, right? And so we're going to look at the bench press in 3 different ways: with the starting position, the downward position, and the upward position. And so just assume that I am, got my barbell here, right? So just assume that I am actually laying down, right? And so first and foremost for the bench press, and again, we're working our pec major as well as our triceps, okay? So assume that I'm laying down, and I'm gonna talk to you as if I'm laying on my back looking up. And so the first thing that we wanna do is you wanna lay flat on the table. You wanna have 5-point contact. What is a 5-point contact? And we want 5-point contact at all times. That's both feet flat on the ground, your back flat on the ground, flat on the bench, and you want, that's 1, 2, and that's 3 contact. Now, contact 4, contact 5, and we're gonna get to this. And so again, the first thing that you want to do is you want to lay on your back, flat on the back, 5 points of contact. Now, when you lay down, and again, you're laying face up, so you're looking at me as if I'm laying on the bench right now. Work with me here, okay? I'm trying to help you out. So the thing that we want to do is let's talk about the grip. So now I have my barbell in hand, right? And so what you want to do is, as you're laying face down and you're looking up, you want the barbell placed right at eye level, right? Now, the other thing that you want to do is, you notice that my arms are kind of in tight. That will cause a lot of excess pain and stress on the shoulder joint. So you want your hands out just a little bit wider. So if you will, you're standing over me looking down, and I'm looking at the camera. So, but this is where you want the barbell. Now, as the barbell is here, you want to grip the bar with a closed grip, meaning this way, okay? Closed grip. Now, with that closed grip, you want your hands slightly wider apart than your shoulders. Now, when you are in this position, the barbell, you want to now fully extend it. So I'm pressing up, fully extended with my elbows fully extended and locked. Now for the downward position, so now I'm holding the weight up in the air. So now with the downward position, we want to lower the bar approximately all the way down to nipple level, okay? Now, once we get that, we want to keep the wrists stiff and forearms perpendicular to each other. Forearms perpendicular to the floor and arms parallel to each other. We want them in the same line. And then don't forget the 5 points of contact, all right? Now, with the upper position, we're doing the same thing. We're going to press the bar up and slightly backwards, fully extending it. Remember, fully locked. Keep the wrist stiff, forearms perpendicular to the floor and the arms parallel. Don't forget the 5 points of contact. And one thing that I will say, number one, do not arch your back or raise your chest off the bench, because this is a beginner's level. This is, so some people will arch their back or some people will raise their chest to meet the bar. We don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that you stay safe. Maintain the 5 points of contact. And lastly, keep your grip full until it is completely racked. Once the weight is racked and it's secure, now if you have a spotter, this is the time you can say, okay, I'm done, and the spotter will assist you and pull it back and put it on the rack, and you can let go. I don't have a spotter right now. So I'm going to push up, rack, right? Now I can let go of the weights because now the bar is being held. Well, work with me again here, right? So now the bar is being supported by the rack, and now I am safe to get up. So you need to pay attention to your starting position, 5 points of contact, your grip, elbows extended, arms slightly wider than your chest, fully extended, right? Perpendicular to the floor, arms parallel, right? And then you have to pay attention to the downward position or the downward movement. Again, your arms are already extended, eye level, don't forget that. And as you come down to about nipple height, right? Elbows secure. Now upward position, 5 points of contact, push up and back. And we are here. And again, we maintain the 5 points of contact, as well as now, if this is the time that you have a spotter, you cue the spotter to help you, and the spotter will take it up and back, and now you can let it go. All right. So if hopefully this helps you, if you have any questions, feel free to drop us a comment. We read every one. You can send us an email. Don't forget to like our videos. Please leave comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, hit the notification bell. And again, you guys stay safe. This is Dr. Brumfield. Take care.